Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another discussion video. Today, I just want to talk to you guys about why I think Battle Evolution Booster is a really great side set and why I hope they continue to make side sets like this. Now, just a disclaimer, you can't please everyone. It's literally impossible. I think Battle Evolution Booster did a lot more good than bad. I find it actually pretty hard to find the bad in general. And distribution, I don't really feel like it's something you can necessarily blame on any one party considering the state of the world with COVID and everything. So I'm just going to talk about the upsides of Evolution Booster, maybe a downside or two, but I really do think it's a really great product. And we're just doing a normal discussion video. I feel like we haven't done one of these in a while, and those are some of the types of videos I really enjoyed doing. So I want to talk to you guys about what I think about Battle Evolution Booster. If you agree, disagree, leave a comment. We'll talk about it. But anyways, we'll get started. But before we do, guys, I do have a new sponsorship with yourplaymat.com. Go down in the description, check out their link. They made these super sweet Crossworld sleeves. They sent them to me. They're super sturdy, super firm. I can't wait to use these at my next event. Pretty sure I'm going to the Florida event in July, so hopefully I'll see some of you guys there. But yeah, these are super awesome sleeves. I couldn't really ever find like a good company that I wanted to make custom art sleeves with, and your playmat has fixed that problem for me. So go down in the description. The link down there will give you 10% off your order. Anyways, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll get started. All right, so off the bat, Battle Evolution Booster was essentially Bandai's answer to draft boxes. There were some rumors out there, I'm not sure if it's ever confirmed, but Battle Evolution Booster, or at least a product that was slotted in that place, was supposed to be a draft box, but just because of all the negative feedback, they decided to pull back on that, which I think is totally fine. The history of draft boxes is honestly pretty skewed in my opinion. Draft Box 4 was an absolute mess for tons of reasons. The cards are way too hard to pull because they decided to reprint super rares, which is a very bad idea. Something they fixed in Evolution Booster, by the way. And then Draft Box 5, I honestly feel like Draft Box 5 flopped, not sales wise, but popularity wise. People just were not really happy with getting another draft box. And I think that was mostly because of the negative hype surrounding Draft Box 4. I think what they did with Draft Box 5 was a lot better in a lot of ways. You know, not reprinting those bad SRs, making pull rates just slightly better. I really think they did a lot of things to improve Draft Box 5. But draft format never really took off. People were just buying this to get the cards for competitive play. How can Bandai support other formats in the game? That's a whole other discussion to be had. At last year's Nats, actually, the last Nats we were able to have. Unfortunately, we couldn't have one this year because of COVID. But at last Nats, they actually had a really big draft format, which had a lot of really great prizing. So with that in mind, if they just do more tournaments like that, it's going to be really hard to do that online, granted. So we're going to have to probably wait until things open back up. But to fix that problem, they'll have to probably just, you know, host bigger draft tournaments, like maybe a big side event at a regular regional, things like that. So maybe that can bring draft products back into the fold at some point. But yeah, I really think Draft Box 5 was riding off the negative coattails of Draft Box 4, which is pretty unfortunate. But anyways, Battle Evolution Booster came around, really turned the whole system on its head, and I think it's been a great side set. We've had other side sets in the past, don't forget, like Clash of Fates and Tournament of Power, that have been much more standard side sets, although those cards included all new cards for the most part, and Battle Evolution Booster included a lot of new cards with a lot of really good reprints, and none of them being at the SR slot is very, very important. It makes the product a lot better. So anyways, moving on, how Evolution Booster handled staples, I really like it. So Testing the Opposition and all the negates that follow suit are excellent staple-ish cards, right? Like, I don't think any deck is going to slam 4 of them, right? I don't think you'll see a red deck playing 4 Testing the Opposition unless your name is Marcel Russell and you're playing King Piccolo on a budget. That's kind of a whole different story. But anyways, yeah, I think staples like that are awesome. It's really nice to see those at a common slot so you can get some really good value pickups at a low rarity slot. But even then, cards like Rosie Blast Manipulator, they're not like Obuni when Obuni came out in Draft Box 4. And I have a Obuni pictured here. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Rosie Blast Manipulator is a really good green card. But after having played with it, I really don't see a universe where I would play 4 copies of Rosie. Now, granted, if the format was way slower and it was pretty much all run by control decks that go to turn 5, 6, 7, yeah, Rosie would probably be a staple for of, because as a green deck, you would just be able to destroy their hand and put a lot of pressure onto them. But that's not really the case of the format, and that's not really the case of Dragon Ball Super in general. Aggro generally always has a presence. There's been very few formats where aggro hasn't had a presence. So I guess contextually, that makes Rosie a little bit worse, but you can think about this in so many aspects of super rare cards that came out in Evolution Booster. They're just not that staple-ish compared to Obuni at release, and they're not that hard to pick up, which is really nice. They're not really sitting at too high of a price tag. Last I checked on Rosie, about $15 a copy, which for a really good SR like that pretty solid. Now going over to Obuni, they did do a lot of great reprints in Evolution Booster. Obuni was one of them. The art could have been a little better for Obuni, but that's another discussion, I guess. Rebrand Punishing Passion, another great reprint in Battle Evolution Booster. So what they did was they really took good care to print good SR reprints in these slots, which is awesome. You know, we didn't need a God Break Son Goku. This is a really good approach where it just shows Bandai listened to the community, got us really good reprints. And last time I checked on the Obuni reprint, I think it was like $5-7. So that's such a good value pickup. I generally don't have a problem with cards like this being relatively expensive on release or shortly after release. I think hitting $100 a copy is pretty ridiculous. And again, that comes to like distribution issues and buyouts and things like that. Those usually settle down. But a card like Obuni on release, if it's $40 a copy, I mean, I guess maybe because I come from Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm pretty used to that. I think if you come from Pokemon and Magic, you'll also be pretty used to that. It is unfortunate to see, you know, at the beginning of the game where cards were dirt cheap and a lot of the best cards were printed in the lowest rarity so that people can get their hands on them easily. And that was a nice time for players in the game, but you have to keep in mind that if product doesn't sell, and in that situation, product does not sell, you have tons of WMAT just sitting on shelves at stores. That's changed with, you know, a lot of card game buyouts in general. But ignoring that, you have to keep in mind that if there's no chase cards and if product's not selling, that's bad for the game. So while I understand people want to get their playsets of cards at as cheap as possible, totally understand that. Chase your deals, do what you have to do. But cards have to be at a happy medium price in order to keep the game afloat. Now, Obuni on release was not really that type of way, which is totally understandable. Again, those problems Draft Box 4, we talked about them. But making that reprint here and kind of giving the community the reprint they needed in several ways, really awesome. So far, with the cards they printed in the set, love it. Then we have the way that Evolution Booster impacted the meta. Honestly, not all that much. Again, you see cards like Testing the Opposition here and there. You see cards like Rosie here or there. And as far as leaders and archetypes that are topping, very few. But again, I think that's okay for being a side set. You have, I saw at least one TN top an event since Evolution Booster. It might have been week 1 if I'm remembering correctly. And over the past couple weeks, we're now, over a month into Evolution Booster's release, we've seen several Android 16s top, actually, which has been really, really nice. So Evolution Booster hasn't drastically shifted the meta in a way that Dropbox 4 or 5 did, but I think that's totally fine. I think introducing new cool concepts that can be expanded upon later in a side set like this is a really great way to go. And even though a deck like Nappa hasn't necessarily done too much in the meta after being released in Evolution Booster, I just think it's really nice that they came up with such a unique archetype. Like, Nappa has a lot of cool things it can do, has a lot of really good meta matchups. It's not the best deck overall, and I think people probably aren't giving it enough looks, and it does have some polarizing matchups because of its lack of draw power. But besides that, it's just a really cool, innovative strategy that they've introduced with the side set that is great for local players, is great to be expanded upon later. Once again, I think that's just a really, really awesome thing they've done with their themes and archetypes in the set. And last but definitely not least, I got to talk about Heron's Lineage, man. The way they handled the secret rare for this set was just absolutely incredible. Like, I've talked about things Bandai's done that I haven't liked, talked about archetypes they put out that weren't so great. A couple archetypes in Evolution Booster weren't great. The Lineage stuff didn't seem too good until we saw more of the Set 13 reveals. The Bulma Lineage deck didn't seem all that great upon release and kind of still doesn't. But again, another archetype that can be expanded upon later. But what they did with Heroine's Lineage has to be the best thing about the set. They did a 4 per case SCR, which we haven't really seen, if I'm not mistaken, since either Clash of Fates or WMAT. I'm not even sure which one came out more recently. But whichever one came out more recently, that might have been the last time we saw a 4 per case SCR. But besides that, the card is just so good, and it's so nice to see that a more affordable SCR is so accessible. Last I checked, it's sitting about $80 a copy. Did peak at about $100 a couple weeks ago, but the fact that it came down to $80 just shows some good stability in the fact that this is a cheaper SCR. Excellent alternative to a card like Spring Kai of Time, which you can literally play in any deck. This card can also be played in any deck and is much more accessible. And in certain formats, this is shown to be better than Spring Kai of Time. I've done so many profiles that have been playing Heroine's Lineage, and the players are telling me they want to play Heroine's Lineage over Kai. Now, I think that'll become a personal preference thing as opposed to which you play, but I think there's generally good merit to playing Heroine's Lineage, and that's such an awesome thing to see considering how affordable it is, and I really appreciate the way Bandai handled that in Evolution Booster. Is everything about Evolution Booster perfect? No. Again, I think distribution is somewhat of an issue. It does suck that it got delayed in America for a few weeks, but again, I can't really blame Bandai for that. COVID's insane, and the fact that You know, they're shipping from Japan, obviously complicates that a bit, but I really like it overall. If you guys have any negatives or agree with anything I've said, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.